The office air conditioning hummed monotonously as Rebecca Torres reviewed the same contract for the 5th time. The words danced on the computer screen without making sense. She blinked, trying to focus, but all she could hear was her mother's voice echoing in her mind from that morning's phone call. "Rebecca, sweetheart, when are you going to introduce me to a real man? You're 28 years old. All your cousins already have children. I'm not getting any younger, and I want to meet my grandchildren before I die." Austin, Texas, sweltered outside under the August sun. Rebecca looked out the 10th floor window, seeing the city stretch to the horizon, modern skyscrapers mixed with historic architecture, the Colorado River snaking through the urban landscape. She loved this city, had moved here specifically to escape the suffocating conservative atmosphere of her hometown in the Rio Grande Valley. But even here, 300 miles away, the weight of Elena Torres's expectations followed her like a shadow. The phone rang again. Rebecca looked at the screen. Mama. For the 3rd time that day, she let it go to voicemail, feeling the familiar guilt tighten her stomach. "Rebecca?" Her boss, Mark Sullivan's voice pulled her from her thoughts. "Are you okay? You seem distracted today." "I'm fine." She lied automatically, forcing a professional smile. "Just long day." Mark nodded, unconvinced. "Go home early today. You've been working 60-hour weeks for the last 3 weeks. Even the best lawyers need rest." Rebecca thanked him and started gathering her things, relieved for the excuse to escape. The law office was impressive, all glass and steel, overlooking Austin's business district, but lately it felt more like a prison than an achievement. She drove to her apartment in Clarksville, a quiet neighborhood near downtown with tree-lined streets and historic homes. Her building was new, modern, 5 stories with a red brick facade. She parked in the basement and took the elevator to the 3rd floor, exhausted not just physically but emotionally. It was when she opened the door to her apartment, number 3B, that she finally fell apart. The call came again. "Mama." This time, Rebecca answered. "Finally. Rebecca, I was worried." "Why don't you answer my calls?" "Mama, I was working." "Always working, always with excuses. You know, your cousin Daniela just announced she's pregnant again. It'll be her 3rd baby. And you? When will you give me that joy?" Rebecca felt something break inside her. Something that had been cracking for years finally shattered. "Mama, I can't," her voice failed. "I can't keep having this conversation." "What conversation?" "I'm just worried about you. You're getting old, Rebecca. Good men won't wait forever. That David you dated last year. He was perfect. Why did you break up with him?" "Because he was boring. Because when he kissed me, I felt nothing. Because I was pretending to be someone I'm not whenever we were together." But Rebecca didn't say any of that. Instead, she murmured, "It wasn't right, Mama. It didn't work out. Nothing is ever right for you. No man is ever good enough. Sometimes I wonder if you—" Elena stopped abruptly. "If I what?" Rebecca asked, her heart racing. Silence. Then, in a low voice, almost frightened, "Nothing. Just take care of yourself, mija. I love you." The call ended. Rebecca dropped the phone on the couch and felt tears begin to fall. She knew what her mother had almost said, the same thing Elena had avoided saying for years, the unspoken fear that hung over every conversation about dating, marriage, children. "Sometimes I wonder if you like women." Her mother would never say that out loud. In the Torres family, some things simply weren't discussed. Elena had been raised in a traditional Catholic family in Mexico, where certain subjects were taboo. When she moved to the United States in the 80s, she brought those beliefs with her. Rebecca remembered when she was 13 and casually mentioned that she thought the PE teacher was pretty. Her mother's reaction was immediate, not anger, but pure fear. "Don't say those things, Rebecca. People will think. They'll talk. I don't want you to suffer." Since then, Rebecca had learned to keep silent, to date boys she didn't love, to build a life that looked perfect from the outside, but was empty inside. She went to the kitchen, grabbed a bottle of wine, and was about to pour a glass when she heard voices in the hallway. Movement. Someone was moving into the apartment next door, 3A, which had been empty for 2 months. Rebecca didn't care much about neighbors. She barely knew the people in the building, always too busy with work to socialize, but something in the female voice she heard through the door made her heart race in a way she couldn't explain. She ignored the feeling, poured her wine, and tried to distract herself with a Netflix documentary. But she couldn't stop thinking about the conversation with her mother, couldn't stop thinking about all the lies she'd told, to herself and others, couldn't stop thinking about how tired she was of pretending. It was almost midnight when it happened. Rebecca was trying to sleep, but anxiety kept her awake. Her chest was tight, her breathing short. She recognized the signs. She was having a panic attack, something that was happening more and more frequently lately. She got up, stumbling to the kitchen to get water, but her hands were shaking so much she dropped the glass. It shattered on the floor, the noise echoing in the apartment's silence. Rebecca crouched down to pick up the pieces, but her hands were trembling too much. She started crying, great sobs she couldn't control, years of repressed emotion finally finding an outlet. She didn't even hear the knock on the door at first, but then it came again, more insistent. "Hello? Is everything okay in there? I heard glass breaking." The voice was female, concerned, kind. Rebecca stood up, quickly wiping away tears, trying to compose herself. She opened the door just a crack, not wanting the stranger to see the state she was in. But when her eyes met those of the woman on the other side, Rebecca forgot to breathe. She was beautiful, not in a conventional polished way, but in a natural and captivating manner, wavy brown hair falling over her shoulders, penetrating green eyes full of genuine concern, wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans. She appeared to be a few years older than Rebecca, maybe early 30s. "Sorry to bother you," the woman said gently. "I just moved into the apartment next door. I'm Samantha Mitchell, but you can call me Sam. I heard a noise and... Are you okay? You're crying." Rebecca tried to respond, but another wave of panic hit her. Her vision began to darken at the edges. Hey, Sam said quickly, her hand instinctively reaching for Rebecca's arm to steady her. "You're having a panic attack. Can I come in? I can help." Rebecca nodded weakly, too disoriented to protest. Sam guided her to the couch, her presence strangely calming. "Okay, I need you to breathe with me. Inhale through your nose, counting to 4. Hold for 4. Exhale through your mouth for 4. Can you do that?" Rebecca tried, her breathing initially erratic, but gradually stabilizing as Sam patiently guided her through the exercise. 5 minutes later, the attack had passed. "Better?" Sam asked softly. Rebecca nodded, mortified. "I'm so sorry. You just moved in and already have to deal with a crazy neighbor having a breakdown." "You're not crazy," Sam said firmly, "and panic attacks are more common than you think. I'm a clinical psychologist. I see this all the time." "Psychologist," Rebecca repeated, a small laugh escaping. "Of course you are. Universe has a sense of humor," Sam smiled. "Sometimes it does. But seriously, you don't have to carry this alone. Whatever's bothering you, you deserve support." And that's how, sitting on her couch at 12:30 in the morning with a complete stranger who had just moved into the apartment next door, Rebecca Torres felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have many exciting stories about love and overcoming challenges waiting for you. The following days were strange for Rebecca. She couldn't stop thinking about Sam, the kindness in her eyes, the calm in her voice, the way she had appeared exactly when Rebecca needed her most. They met again 3 days later, by chance, in the building's lobby. Rebecca was returning from work, exhausted as always, when she saw Sam checking her mailbox. "Rebecca," Sam smiled upon seeing her. "How are you? No more panic attacks, I hope?" "No, I'm fine. Thank you again for that night. You really saved me. It was my pleasure." Sam paused, seeming to consider something. "Look, I know we just met, but have you ever been to Mozart's Coffee? It's near the lake, has an amazing view. I was thinking maybe you'd like to go tomorrow. No commitment, no agenda. Just 2 humans having coffee and talking." Rebecca knew she should say no, knew that getting involved with this woman, this beautiful, openly confident woman who made her feel things she'd spent 28 years trying to ignore, was dangerous. But instead, She heard herself saying, "I'd love to. How about tomorrow at 10? Sam's smile lit up her entire face. "Perfect. See you there." The next morning, a sunny Saturday in August, Rebecca spent 15 minutes choosing what to wear, something she never did. She finally decided on a light blue summer dress and sandals, leaving her dark hair loose instead of tied up as she normally wore it for work. Mozart's Coffee Roasters was located on the shores of Lake Austin, a popular cafe known for its specialty coffees and stunning water views. Rebecca arrived first, grabbed an outdoor table with shade, and tried to calm her nerves. Sam appeared 5 minutes later, wearing jeans and a green blouse that perfectly matched her eyes. She was carrying a canvas bag with books visibly sticking out. "I hope you don't mind," Sam said as she sat down. "I can't go anywhere without at least 3 books. Occupational hazard, psychologist and reader, interesting combination. Well, I'd say reading people and reading books aren't that different," Sam laughed. "Both require attention to detail, empathy, and willingness to see beyond the surface." They ordered coffee, an almond milk latte for Rebecca, a double cappuccino for Sam, and for a moment, sat in comfortable silence, enjoying the cool breeze from the lake. "So," Sam began gently, "do you want to talk about what caused that panic attack? No pressure, obviously, but sometimes it helps to verbalize." Rebecca hesitated. She had never talked about her struggles with anyone. Not friends, not co-workers, certainly not her family. But there was something about Sam, an openness, an absence of judgment, that made her want to open up. "My mother called," Rebecca began slowly. "She always calls, but this time was different. Or maybe I was different. I don't know." She paused, stirring her coffee. "She wants me to get married, wants grandchildren, wants me to be someone I'm not." Sam nodded, listening attentively. "And who are you, Rebecca?" The question was simple, but carried enormous weight. Rebecca felt tears sting her eyes. "That's the problem," she whispered. "I don't know. I've spent so much time being who my mother wanted, who society expected, that I forgot who I really am underneath it all." "But you do know," Sam said softly. "Deep down, you know. You're just afraid to admit it." Rebecca looked at Sam, and for a moment, the world around them disappeared. The noise of the cafe, people passing by, distant traffic, everything vanished. There were only those green eyes, full of understanding and something more that Rebecca couldn't name. "My mother has always been afraid," Rebecca finally said, her voice barely audible. "Afraid that I was different, that I liked women. She never said it explicitly, but I always knew. And so I spent my entire life trying to prove she was wrong, even knowing she was right." Rebecca's heart was beating so hard she was sure Sam could hear it. She had never said this out loud before, never to anyone. Sam reached across the table and gently covered Rebecca's hand with hers. The touch was comforting, supportive, nothing more. But it made something in Rebecca's chest tighten. "Rebecca, look at me," Sam said. When Rebecca raised her eyes, Sam continued, "There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing. The only mistake is living a life that isn't yours out of fear of what others will think. But my mother, your mother loves you, I'm sure. But her love shouldn't come with the condition that you deny who you are. That's not true love. It's control disguised as concern." The words hit Rebecca like a punch. She had never thought of it that way. "Are you gay?" Sam asked directly but gently. Rebecca took a deep breath. Yes, I am. God, I've never said that out loud before." "How do you feel now that you have?" "Terrified," Rebecca admitted with a nervous laugh. "But also relieved? Like, I finally admitted to someone besides myself." Sam smiled. "That's a huge step. And for the record, I'm gay too. I came out when I was 20. It was hard. My family took years to accept, but it was the best decision I ever made. Because from that moment on, I could start truly living." Rebecca felt something move in her chest. "You make it sound so simple." "It's not simple," Sam corrected. "It's one of the hardest things you'll do. But it's necessary. Because the alternative is spending your entire life as a stranger to yourself." They stayed at the cafe for 3 hours, talking about everything. Their families, their careers, dreams, fears. Sam talked about growing up in Seattle, about the difficulty of coming out to conservative Presbyterian parents, about how she eventually built an authentic life despite initial disapproval. Rebecca shared about growing up on the Texas border, about the constant pressure to conform, about boyfriends who never felt right, about the guilt she carried for disappointing her mother. "You're not disappointing anyone," Sam insisted. "You're just being honest." When they finally stood to leave, the sun was high in the sky, and Rebecca felt lighter than she had in years. "Can we do this again?" Sam asked. "Not as therapist and patient, just want to make that clear. But as friends? Or potentially more if you're open to it. No pressure." Rebecca's heart leaped. "More?" Sam smiled. "Rebecca, I don't want to assume anything, but I feel a connection with you, and if you feel the same, I'd love to explore that. But at your pace. No rush." Rebecca knew she should be cautious, knew this was new and scary territory. But for the first time in her life, she wanted to be brave. "I'd love that," she said, surprising herself with her own certainty. They started meeting regularly, Saturday breakfasts at Mozart's, walks around the Lady Bird Lake Trail, quiet dinners at small hidden restaurants in Austin. Sam introduced Rebecca to the vibrant and diverse side of the city, the LGBTQ+ district in Cedar Springs, cultural events, support groups. For 3 weeks, they built a friendship that was slowly, inevitably, transforming into something more. It was during an evening walk through Zilker Park, under a starry September sky, that it happened. They were sitting on a bench near Barton Springs Pool, listening to the sound of water and cicadas. Rebecca had just told Sam about another difficult conversation with her mother. "She's starting to suspect," Rebecca said. "She asked me why I spend so much time with that new friend." I could hear the interrogation in her voice. "And what did you say?" "I said you were just a friend." I lied again, like I always do. Rebecca turned to Sam, frustration evident in her voice. "But you came into my life, and everything became clear between us. It became clear that I can't live like this anymore. It became clear that what I feel for you is real, more real than anything I've ever felt." Sam took a deep breath. "Rebecca, are you sure? Because once we cross this line, there's no going back, and I don't want to be an experiment or a discovery phase." "You're not," Rebecca said with conviction. "You're the first person who makes me want to be brave. The first person who makes me feel it's worth fighting for who I really am." Sam reached out and gently touched Rebecca's face. "Can I kiss you?" In response, Rebecca leaned in and closed the distance between them. The kiss was soft, tentative at first, then deeper. And in that moment, under the Texas stars, Rebecca Torres finally allowed herself to feel everything she had denied for 28 years. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. "So," Sam said, her forehead resting against Rebecca's, "what do we do now?" "Now," Rebecca said, "I stop lying. To myself and to everyone else. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow Rebecca's journey. The story is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what comes next." The following weeks were the happiest and most terrifying of Rebecca's life. For the first time, she was living authentically, going out with Sam openly in LGBTQ+ friendly neighborhoods of Austin, holding her hand in public, allowing herself to feel without guilt. But with each moment of happiness came a wave of anxiety about the inevitable. Telling her mother. Elena called more and more frequently, her questions becoming more direct. "Why don't you ever tell me about boyfriends anymore? Are you hiding something from me?" Rebecca avoided, deflected, lied, and each lie corroded her a little more. It was Sam who finally confronted her about it. It was a Saturday afternoon in late September, and they were in Sam's apartment preparing dinner together. Rebecca was chopping vegetables for a salad, but her mind was clearly elsewhere. "You're very quiet," Sam observed, stirring the sauce on the stove. "Did your mother call again?" Rebecca nodded miserably, 3 times today. "She wants me to visit next weekend. Says she has someone she wants to introduce me to. A friend's son, a lawyer like me. Very respectable." "And what did you say?" "Said I was busy with work." Another lie on the growing pile. Sam turned off the stove and turned to Rebecca, her hands gently holding her shoulders. "Love, you can't keep doing this. It's destroying you." "I know," Rebecca whispered, tears threatening to fall. "But I don't know how to tell her. She'll be devastated. She might disown me completely, or she might surprise you, but either way, you deserve to live your truth. And your mother deserves to know who her daughter really is. What if she hates me? Then she's not truly loving you. She's loving the version of you she created in her head." Sam paused. "But Rebecca, I know Latina mothers. I've worked with many immigrant families in my practice. Yes, there's conservatism, there are traditions, but there's also deep love, and often that love can overcome fear. It just needs time." Rebecca knew Sam was right, but knowing and doing were two very different things. The decision was made for her a week later. Rebecca was at the office in an important meeting with a client when her cell phone rang repeatedly. She ignored it, but the calls continued. Worried it might be an emergency, she excused herself and answered. It was her Aunt Carmen, her mother's sister. "Rebecca, thank God. Your mother is in the hospital. She had a fall, hit her head. She's stable, but doctors want to keep her for observation." Rebecca's blood froze. "I'm coming there now." She canceled all meetings, grabbed her car, and drove the 3 hours to McAllen in a state of pure panic. The entire way, her mind raced. What if something serious happened to her mother? What if she died without ever really knowing her daughter? Sam had offered to come along, but Rebecca refused. "I need to do this alone," she said. "But thank you. For everything." When Rebecca arrived at the hospital, she found her mother conscious but pale, with a small bandage on her forehead. Elena tried to smile upon seeing her daughter. "Mija, you didn't need to come all this way. I'm fine." "Mama, you hit your head and you're in the hospital. Of course I needed to come." Rebecca pulled a chair close to the bed, taking her mother's hand. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Elena said softly, "I've been very hard on you, haven't I? About dating, marriage, all these things." Rebecca was surprised. "Mama, let me finish," Elena interrupted. "I was lying here thinking about how I spent so much time worried about the future, grandchildren, marriage, all these expectations, that I forgot to simply enjoy my daughter. You're a successful lawyer. You're kind, intelligent, responsible, and I just keep demanding things that don't matter as much." Rebecca felt tears burn in her eyes. "They matter to you, Mama. I know they matter. They matter because I'm afraid," Elena admitted, her voice trembling. "Afraid that you'll be alone. Afraid that you won't be happy. Afraid of—" She paused, and Rebecca saw something pass through her eyes. The same thing that had been between them for years, unspoken, but always present. "Afraid of what, Mama?" Rebecca asked gently. Elena closed her eyes. "Your Aunt Carmen told me something while we waited for you. She said one of her daughters, Isabella, just came out as gay. Told the whole family she's dating a woman." Rebecca's heart stopped. "And you know what I felt?" Elena continued, opening her eyes and looking directly at Rebecca. "Relief. Not for Isabella, but because finally someone had the courage to say out loud what I've always been afraid to admit about my own daughter." The silence in the room was deafening. "You knew?" Rebecca finally managed to say. "Mothers always know, Mija. We always knew. I was so afraid. Afraid of what people would say, afraid that you'd suffer, afraid it was my fault somehow. So I pretended not to see, hoping that if I pushed you enough to date men, you'd change, or that you were just confused." Tears were streaming down Elena's face now. "But I was wrong. And I'm sorry, Rebecca. I'm sorry for making you feel like you couldn't be who you are." Rebecca was openly crying now, years of repressed emotion finally finding release. "Mama, I met someone, a woman. She's a psychologist. She's kind. She makes me happy in a way I never was with any man. And I love her, Mama. I love her so much." Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly, she squeezed Rebecca's hand. "Does she treat you well?" "Yes," Rebecca said, surprised by the question. "Does she respect you?" "Yes." "Then," Elena said, her voice firm despite the tears, "I want to meet her. Not today, Not tomorrow, but soon. Because if she makes you happy, if she loves you the way you deserve to be loved, then I need to give her a chance. Rebecca could barely believe what she was hearing. Really? It's going to take time, Elena admitted. I won't lie and say this is easy for me. I was raised with certain beliefs, certain expectations, but you're my daughter, and you're mine, no matter who you love. That doesn't change. Mama, I love you so much, Rebecca sobbed, carefully hugging her mother to avoid hurting her head injury. I love you too, Mija, and I'm sorry for making you feel like you had to choose between being happy and having my approval. You should never have had to make that choice. They talked for hours, about fears, about expectations, about how to build a bridge between Elena's traditional world and the authentic life Rebecca was finally living. It wasn't easy, it wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And it was a beginning. When Rebecca finally left the hospital that evening, she immediately called Sam. How did it go? Sam asked, concern evident in her voice. It was better than I expected. Much better. Rebecca took a deep breath. She wants to meet you, Sam. My mother wants to meet you. She could hear the smile in Sam's voice. I'm nervous and honored at the same time. She won't be perfect at this, Rebecca warned. It'll take time for her to adjust, but she's trying. That's all we can ask, Sam said gently. Rebecca, I'm so proud of you. You did the hardest thing. You chose yourself. No, Rebecca corrected. I chose us, and it was the best choice I ever made. October brought a subtle but significant change to Rebecca's life. For the first time in her adult life, she wasn't hiding who she was. At the office, she casually mentioned in conversations that she was dating someone, and when colleagues assumed it was a man, she gently corrected them. Actually, it's a woman, Sam. She's a psychologist. Reactions varied. Some colleagues were visibly uncomfortable and started avoiding her. Others were surprisingly supportive. But the most unexpected reaction came from her boss, Mark. Rebecca, can I talk to you privately? He asked after a team meeting. Rebecca's heart sank. He's going to fire me, she thought, or take me off important cases. But when they sat in his office, Mark just smiled. I wanted to say that I admire your courage. I know this isn't the most progressive firm. Lots of middle-aged white men here, myself included. But you're one of our best lawyers, and who you love doesn't change that. Thank you, Rebecca said, relieved and surprised. And between you and me, Mark continued, lowering his voice. My son came out last year. It was hard at first, I won't lie. But seeing him finally happy, finally being himself, it's worth any adjustment I had to make in my expectations. It was a reminder that allies could come from the most unexpected places. The real test, however, would come at the end of the month when Elena visited Austin to meet Sam. Rebecca spent days obsessively cleaning her apartment, planning the perfect menu, rehearsing introductions. Sam watched with a mixture of amusement and concern. Love, you're going to stress yourself to death before she even arrives, Sam said, finding Rebecca at 3 a.m, reorganizing the living room for the 5th time. I just want everything to be perfect. I want her to see how amazing you are. Sam pulled Rebecca into a hug. She's going to judge me no matter what we do. That's inevitable, but with time and patience, she'll really see me. Not her daughter's lesbian girlfriend, but just Sam, the person who loves Rebecca with all her heart. The day finally came. Elena was driving from McAllen and would arrive around 2 p.m. Rebecca had scheduled a quiet dinner at 6 at an authentic Mexican restaurant she knew her mother would approve of. When the doorbell rang at 2:15, Rebecca felt like her heart would jump out of her chest. She opened the door to find Elena standing in the hallway, holding a covered dish wrapped in aluminum foil. Mama! Rebecca hugged her tightly. Mija, let me breathe. Elena laughed, but returned the hug warmly. I made tamales. Thought we could eat them later. You didn't have to. Of course I did. It's tradition. Elena entered, her eyes immediately scanning the apartment, not judging, Rebecca realized, but curious. Sam appeared from the kitchen, visibly nervous but composed. She had dressed conservatively, dark slacks and a simple blouse, and had pulled her hair back. Mrs. Torres, Sam said, extending her hand. It's an honor to finally meet you. Rebecca talks about you so much." Elena looked at the extended hand for a moment that seemed to last forever. Then, to the surprise of both Rebecca and Sam, she ignored the hand and pulled Sam into a brief but genuine hug. "Call me Elena, and thank you for taking care of my daughter." Lunch was initially tense. Elena asked polite questions. Where Sam was from, how long she'd been in Austin, about her work. Sam answered carefully, clearly measuring each word. Rebecca watched the exchange like she was watching a tennis match, ready to intervene at the first sign of conflict. But then something changed. Elena mentioned she was having trouble sleeping since the hospital accident, and Sam, in automatic professional mode, began offering practical suggestions: breathing exercises, sleep hygiene, mindfulness techniques. "You really know about these things," Elena said, and for the first time, Rebecca heard genuine approval in her voice. "Well, I spent 8 years studying the human mind." Sam smiled. "It would be a waste if I didn't know. And you help people. Every day?" "I try. I don't always succeed, but I try. That's why I love my work." Elena nodded thoughtfully. Then she turned to Rebecca. "Is she good to you?" The question was direct, without beating around the bush. "She's the best thing that ever happened to me, Mama," Rebecca said honestly. Elena was quiet for a moment, then she looked directly at Sam. "My daughter. She's sensitive. She pretends to be strong, but inside, she feels everything very deeply. She's been hurt before, by people who weren't worth her time." "I know," Sam said softly. "And I promise you, Elena, that I'll do everything in my power never to hurt her. I love her, deeply. And if you give me a chance, I hope to prove that with actions, not just words." Tears glistened in Elena's eyes. "You know, when Rebecca was little, I used to pray every night for God to protect her. I prayed that she'd find someone good, someone who would truly love her." She paused. "I think God answered my prayers, just not in the way I expected." Dinner that evening was completely different from lunch. Conversation flowed more easily. Elena told stories about Rebecca as a child, some that made Rebecca blush with embarrassment while Sam laughed. Sam shared about her own family, about the difficulties she faced coming out. "Did your parents eventually accept?" Elena asked. "My father did, after a few years. My mother is still in process, but she tries, and that's what matters." Elena nodded. "I'll try too. I don't promise it'll be easy or quick, but I'll try." When the evening ended and it was time for Elena to return to her hotel, she hugged Rebecca at the door. "She's good for you," Elena whispered. "I can see that. And you're happy, truly happy, for the first time in years." "I am, Mama. I'm so happy." "Then that's enough for me. For now, anyway." Elena smiled through tears. "I love you, Mija." "I love you too, Mama." After Elena left, Rebecca turned to Sam, who was cleaning dishes in the kitchen. "She liked you," Rebecca said, still processing the evening. "She loves you," Sam corrected. "And she's trying to love who you love. That's all that matters." Rebecca crossed the kitchen and wrapped her arms around Sam from behind. "Thank you. For being patient. For being you. For everything." Sam turned in Rebecca's arms, her hands gently holding her face. "Rebecca Torres, you changed my life. Changed how I see love, how I see possibilities. I came to Austin looking for a new beginning, but I found so much more. I found you." They kissed, slow and deep, and Rebecca knew with absolute certainty that she had made the right decision. Choosing truth over comfort, choosing love over fear, choosing herself. It was just beginning, and there would still be challenges ahead. But for the first time, Rebecca wasn't facing them alone. If this story is touching your heart, subscribe to the channel. We want to share more stories of love and courage with you. 6 months passed. 6 months of Rebecca living as herself for the first time in her life. Her relationship with her mother had evolved slowly but steadily. Elena called every week, and now asked about Sam in every conversation. "How's your girlfriend? Is she taking good care of you?" At first, the term girlfriend came out hesitantly, but over time it became more natural. Elena even started sharing about Rebecca with close friends. "My daughter is dating a wonderful psychologist," she would say, strategically omitting gender until someone asked directly. And then, with her head held high, she would confirm, "Yes, it's a woman. And she makes my daughter happy." Not all the family reacted well. Some uncles stopped inviting Rebecca to family events. Cousins made comments on social media. But others, like Aunt Carmen and her daughter Isabella, became unexpected allies, creating a small but strong family support network. In March, Rebecca made another important decision. She and Sam decided to move in together. "It makes sense," Sam argued while having coffee at Mozart's on a Saturday morning. "I'm always at your apartment or you're at mine. Why pay 2 rents?" "Because it's a huge step," Rebecca replied, but she was smiling. "It's a commitment. It's telling the world this is real, this is forever. And are you ready for that?" Rebecca thought about the question. 6 months ago, she would have panicked at the mere idea, but now, looking at the woman who had helped her find herself, who loved her without conditions, who supported her in everything, "Yes," she said with conviction, "I'm ready." They found a larger apartment in a new building in Rainy Street, with 2 bedrooms, a spacious kitchen, and a stunning view of downtown Austin. Spending the first weekend unpacking together, arguing about where to put furniture, mixing their belongings, it was surprisingly natural. "Your decorating taste is questionable," Sam joked, holding a tacky painting Rebecca had bought years ago. "Hey, that has sentimental value." "Sentimental value belongs in a box in the closet, not on the living room wall," they laughed, and Rebecca felt a wave of gratitude so strong it almost knocked her down. This was normalcy. This was real life. This was happiness. In April, Elena visited for the second time. This time she stayed in the new apartment, sleeping in the guest room Rebecca and Sam had prepared especially for visitors. "You two live well," Elena commented, looking around the bright, well-decorated space. "And you seem happy together." "We are happy, Mama," Rebecca confirmed. That evening, after dinner, while Sam was making coffee, Elena pulled Rebecca aside. "I need to tell you something," Elena began, her voice serious. "And I need you to hear me out until the end." Rebecca's heart raced. "Okay." "When you told me about Sam, when I finally admitted to myself what I'd always known about you, I thought my world had ended. I thought I had failed as a mother, thought God was punishing me somehow." Elena paused, tears glistening in her eyes. "But I was wrong about so many things." "Mama." "Let me finish," Elena continued. "I was wrong to think there was only one way to love. Wrong to think my vision of happiness was the only valid one. Wrong to let my fear become your fear too." She took Rebecca's hands. "Rebecca, I see you now. Really see you. And you're radiant. You're free. You're the person you should have always been. And Sam loves you in a way none of those men you dated ever loved you." "So you approve?" Rebecca asked, her voice trembling. "More than approve. I'm grateful. Grateful that you had the courage I didn't have to live your truth. Grateful that you found someone who sees you completely. And grateful that, despite everything, you still let me be part of your life." Mother and daughter hugged, crying together, but this time they were tears of healing, not pain. Sam appeared with coffee, and seeing the scene, smiled with understanding. Elena extended her hand, inviting her into the embrace. "You're my family now too," Elena said to Sam. "Take care of my girl. Always," Sam promised. In June, Rebecca and Sam celebrated 1 year together. Sam planned a surprise weekend in Fredericksburg, a small German town in Texas Hill Country, known for its wineries and historic charm. On the last night, during dinner at a winery overlooking the rolling hills, Sam was strangely nervous. "Are you okay?" Rebecca asked. "You've barely touched your food. There's something I want to ask you." Sam took a deep breath, and to Rebecca's total shock, knelt beside the table. The entire restaurant went quiet. "Rebecca Torres," Sam began, her voice trembling but firm. "A year ago, I knocked on your door because I heard glass breaking. I didn't know that moment would change my life forever. You were broken that night, but what you didn't realize is that I was too, in my own way. I had moved to Austin looking for a new beginning, but I was alone. disconnected, living, but not really living. Tears were already streaming down Rebecca's face. "And then you came into my life," Sam continued. "You, with all your strength and fragility, your courage and your fears. You showed me what it means to love someone completely, without reservations. Showed me that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing we can offer another person." Sam pulled a small velvet box from her pocket. "I know not all states recognize our right to marry yet, and I know we might have to wait for laws to change. But I can't wait any longer to ask you." She opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful white gold ring with a small diamond. "Rebecca, will you marry me? Will you build a life with me, face whatever comes together, be my partner in everything?" Rebecca could barely breathe. "Yes," she sobbed. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." The entire restaurant erupted in applause as Sam slid the ring onto Rebecca's finger, and they kissed, both crying and laughing at the same time. That night, lying together under the Texas stars on their inn's terrace, Rebecca turned to Sam. "You know what my mother told me before we came back?" Rebecca asked. "What?" She said, "I was always afraid of the wrong thing. I was afraid of losing you to the world's judgment. But I almost lost you by becoming part of that judgment." She was crying when she said it. "Your mother is a strong woman," Sam said. "Changing deeply rooted beliefs isn't easy. But she chose to love you more than her fears. That's real love. Just like you," Rebecca said, turning to look into Sam's eyes. "You loved me when I didn't even know how to love myself. You waited patiently while I found my courage. You never gave up on me. How could I?" Sam smiled. "You're the best thing that ever happened to me." They married 6 months later, in an intimate ceremony at the Zilker Botanical Garden. Only close family and dear friends were present, but Elena was in the front row, crying with joy. During the vows, Rebecca looked at her mother and then at Sam. "My mother always feared this," Rebecca said, her voice clear and strong. "She feared I was different, that I would suffer, that I would choose a harder path, and she was right. This path is harder. There's prejudice, there's judgment, there are doors that close." She squeezed Sam's hand. "But you came in," Rebecca continued, looking directly at Sam. "And everything became clear between us. It became clear that living a lie is much harder than facing the truth. It became clear that real love is worth any challenge. It became clear that I'm stronger than I ever knew. And it became clear that you, Samantha Mitchell, are my destiny. Not because it was written in the stars, but because we choose each other, every day, repeatedly." There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. When the officiant declared them married, Rebecca and Sam kissed under an arch of flowers while their loved ones applauded, and there, in the middle of it all, was Elena, smiling through tears, finally at peace with the daughter she'd always had, just not in the way she expected. At the reception, Elena made a toast. "I'm not good with words," she began, nervous in front of everyone. "But I need to say something. For years, I was afraid of what I didn't understand. Afraid that my daughter would suffer. But what I didn't realize is that in trying to protect her from suffering, I was causing the greatest suffering of all, making her deny who she was." She looked at Rebecca and Sam. "Sam, thank you for loving my daughter so completely. Thank you for having patience with me as I learned, as I grew. And Rebecca," Elena's voice broke, "thank you for giving me a second chance. For not giving up on me, even when I deserved for you to give up." She raised her glass. "To true love, to the courage to be who you are, and to families that learn, grow, and love, not despite our differences, but because of them." "Cheers!" everyone shouted. As the party continued, Rebecca pulled her mother into a hug. "I love you, Mama. Thank you for making this journey with me. I'm the one who's grateful, mija. You taught me what it means to truly love without conditions." Years later, Rebecca would look back on that day as the moment when everything fell into place. The moment when fear finally transformed into love. The moment when she realized that choosing herself didn't mean losing her family. It meant giving them the opportunity to know and love the real person. And it all started with a knock on the door, with a kind neighbor who cared enough to check if everything was okay. With Sam Mitchell, who came into Rebecca's life and illuminated all the dark corners she had hidden for so long. My mother always feared this, Rebecca thought, dancing with Sam under the party lights. But you came in, and everything became clear between us. Clear that love was stronger than fear. Clear that truth was more liberating than comfortable lies. Clear that she had always been worthy of love exactly as she was. And finally, Rebecca Torres was free. Thank you for following Rebecca and Sam's journey to the end. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel. We share stories of true love, courage, and overcoming challenges every week. Leave a comment telling us which part of the story resonated most with you. We love hearing from you. And remember, you're never alone in your journey. Love always finds a way. Until the next story, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.